She called me her husband. She wore my ring. I believed her. I thought, at 55 I finally had someone to grow old with. But one morning I woke up in Bangkok with nothing. My bank account emptied, my pension transferred, my passport gone. She vanished overnight, and I was stranded like a fool. I'm Larry, and this is how love cost me everything in Thailand. I met Suana on my 3rd week in Bangkok. The humidity was crushing me that day, and I stumbled into the lobby of the Emerald Palace Hotel looking like a lost tourist. She was behind the reception desk, her smile bright against the marble backdrop. I thought I'd buried this story. But earlier this week, I got an email from a longtime viewer of this channel. He wrote that he'd been watching quietly for a while, always listening, never commenting until now. He said my stories gave him the courage to face his own mistakes, and he wanted to share them with me. Reading his words, I felt a rush of emotions I wasn't ready for. At first, it was disbelief, that uncanny feeling when you realize another man's heartbreak mirrors your own. Then came a deep sadness, because I could hear the weight in his words, the same weight I once carried in silence. And finally, there was a strange kind of comfort, because knowing he trusted me with his truth reminded me I'm not alone, and neither are you. That's why I'm here tonight, to open up again. And before I do, I want to pause and thank you, all of you watching right now. Please, leave me a comment and let me know where you're tuning in from. I love seeing those notes come in from across the world. And for those of you who've been with me for a while, who keep coming back video after video, this is my super thank you moment. You're the reason I can keep telling these stories. So please, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and join the conversation below. Because tonight, I need to lay it all bare. Let me take you back to where it all started. Good morning, sir. How can I help you today? Her English was perfect, accent soft but clear. I'd been staying at a cheaper place down the street, but something about her made me linger. I was wondering about your monthly rates, I said, though I hadn't planned to ask, for long-term stays. Of course. Please, sit down. I will bring you water. You look very tired. That kindness hit me harder than it should have. When was the last time someone had noticed I looked tired? When was the last time anyone cared? She returned with cold water and a brochure. As she explained the rates, she kept glancing at me with genuine concern. You are here alone? She asked. Yes, divorced. Kids are grown and… I stopped myself. Why was I telling a stranger this? Oh, that must be very lonely, she said, her hand briefly touching mine on the table. But Bangkok is a good place to start new life. I think you will be happy here. Something in her voice made me believe it, made me want to believe it. I moved into room 412 the next day. Every morning, Suana greeted me by name. Good morning, Mr. Larry. How did you sleep? Every evening, she'd ask about my day, remember details from our previous conversations. After 2 weeks, she started calling me just Larry with a warmth that made my chest tight. Larry, you eat dinner alone again tonight? She asked one Thursday evening. I usually do, I admitted. This is not good. Man should have someone to share meal with. Tomorrow, I finish work at 6. Maybe we can eat together? Just friends, of course. Friends. Of course. But the way she said it left room for something more. That Friday dinner changed everything. We went to a small restaurant near her apartment. She ordered for both of us, translating the menu, making sure I tried everything. In Thailand, we believe sharing food brings people closer, she said, placing a piece of fish on my plate. Family does this. Close friends, people who care for each other. And what are we? I asked. She smiled, that careful smile I'd learned to recognize too late. We are getting to know each other. But later, as we walked back to the hotel, she slipped her arm through mine. Larry, can I ask you something personal? Sure. You said you are divorced. But you still wear wedding ring. Why? I looked down at the gold band I'd kept on out of habit. I guess I forgot it was there. Maybe it is time to forget painful things, she said. Make room for new happiness. That night, I took the ring off for the first time in 15 years. The next morning, she greeted me with that radiant smile. Good morning, Larry. You look different today. Younger, I think. Do I? Yes, like weight is lifted from your shoulders. She was right. I felt lighter. For the first time since my divorce, since my kids stopped calling regularly, since my early retirement left me with empty days, I felt like someone saw me as more than just another lonely middle-aged American in Bangkok. "Suana," I said before I could stop myself, "would you like to have dinner again tonight?" "I would like that very much," she replied. "But tonight, I cook for you. Thai food, real Thai food. You come to my place?" I nodded, perhaps too eagerly. "Good. 7 o'clock. And Larry?" She leaned closer to the reception desk. "Bring good appetite. When Thai woman cooks for man, it means something special." I spent that entire day wondering what something special meant, my heart beating like I was 20 again instead of 55. For the first time in years, I had something to look forward to. Someone to look forward to. I had no idea that kindness could be a trap. That loneliness could make you so grateful you'd mistake manipulation for love. But that night, walking to her apartment with a bottle of wine and hope I hadn't felt in decades, I believed I'd finally found someone who could see past my age, my failures, my quiet desperation. I believed she cared about me. I believed she might even love me. Her apartment was small but immaculate. The smell of lemongrass and garlic filled the air as she moved around the tiny kitchen with practiced grace. "Sit, sit," she insisted, pointing to the low couch. "Dinner is almost ready. You want beer? I buy special for you." The beer was American, expensive by Thai standards. She'd noticed my preference and remembered it. "Suana, you didn't have to go to all this trouble." "No trouble," she said, bringing me the cold bottle. "I like taking care of people who are important to me." The way she caught herself made my stomach flutter. People who are important to me. When was the last time someone had considered me important? Dinner was incredible. She'd prepared 5 different dishes, each one perfectly spiced. As we ate, she asked about my life back in Ohio. "Tell me about your marriage," she said gently. "What happened?" I rarely talked about Carol, about how we'd grown apart after the kids left home, about how my injury at the plant had made me angry and difficult to live with. But something about Suana's attention, the way she listened without judgment, made the words spill out. "We married young. Had 2 kids, Michael and Sarah. But after my accident, I couldn't work the same way. The pain made me bitter. Carol tried to help, but I pushed her away. Eventually, she stopped trying." "That must have been very painful for you," Suana said, her hand covering mine on the small table. "To lose your family like that. The worst part is, I don't blame her. I wasn't the same man she married. The kids, they chose sides when we divorced. Chose her. I get a Christmas card, maybe a birthday call if I'm lucky. Oh, Larry." Her voice was so soft, so full of sympathy. "You deserve better than that. Man who works hard, who provides for family, he should be respected. Loved, not thrown away like trash." Hearing her say it, hearing someone finally acknowledge my pain without telling me it was my fault, nearly broke me down right there. "Maybe that's why I came to Thailand," I admitted. "Fresh start, place where my past doesn't follow me." "Yes," she said, squeezing my hand. "And maybe Thailand brought you exactly what you need, what you deserve." After dinner, she made Thai tea and we sat on her small balcony. The Bangkok traffic hummed below us, but up there, it felt peaceful, safe. "Larry, can I tell you something?" she asked. "Of course. When I first see you in hotel lobby, I think, this man has sad eyes. But tonight, your eyes are different, happy, I think." "That's because of you," I said without thinking. She smiled and leaned her head against my shoulder. "I am happy too. It has been a long time since I have someone to cook for, someone to talk with about real things." "What about your family? Boyfriend?" "My family is in Chiang Mai, very traditional. They want me to marry Thai man, have babies, be good Thai wife. But I want different life. And boyfriend," she shrugged. "Thai men, they think women should just serve them. Not talk, not think, just cook and clean and make babies. I want partnership, equal partnership." "You deserve that," I said. "You deserve someone who sees how special you are." She turned to look at me directly. "And you deserve woman who sees how good you are. How gentle. How caring." The space between us seemed to shrink. For a moment, I thought she might kiss me. Instead, she stood up. "It is getting late. You should go back to hotel." I felt disappointed but didn't want to push. "Of course, thank you for tonight, Suana. It was perfect." At the door, she hugged me goodbye. It lasted longer than a friendly hug should have. "Larry?" she said as I turned to leave. "Yes?" Tomorrow is my day off. Maybe we can spend it together. I show you real Bangkok, not tourist places. Places where local people go. I'd love that. Good. I pick you up at hotel at 9. We have whole day together. That night, lying in my hotel bed, I replayed every moment of the evening. The way she'd touched my hand, the way she'd listened to my story without judging, the way she'd made me feel, for the first time in years, like I was worth caring about. I didn't sleep much. I kept thinking about what she'd said about partnership, about wanting something equal, about how she thought I was good, gentle, caring, words no one had used to describe me in so long I'd forgotten they might still be true. I stared at the ceiling fan spinning slowly above me and allowed myself to hope. Maybe I wasn't too old for this. Maybe loneliness didn't have to be permanent. Maybe Thailand really could give me the fresh start I'd come here looking for. Maybe Suana was exactly what I'd been missing all along. 3 months later, Suana moved into my hotel room. It happened gradually, naturally. First, she stayed one night after we'd been out late, then weekends, then most nights. "This is silly," she said one morning, gathering her clothes from my bathroom. "I'm paying rent for apartment I never sleep in. You are paying for hotel room that is too big for one person. What are you suggesting? Maybe we live together officially? I give up my lease, move in here with you?" The thought thrilled and terrified me. "Are you sure? That's a big step. Larry, I am 33 years old. I know what I want, and I want to be with you." She moved in the next week. Having her there every day, waking up beside her, sharing meals and conversations, felt like a dream I was afraid to trust. But it was real. She was real. She handled all the logistics beautifully, spoke to the hotel management in Thai, negotiated a better monthly rate, dealt with the paperwork. I was grateful for her help navigating the bureaucracy. "In Thailand, woman traditionally takes care of household things," she explained. "Money, bills, practical matters. Man works, woman manages. This way is more efficient." It made sense. My Thai was still terrible, and she was so much better with the local currency and customs. When she suggested I give her access to my bank account to make payments easier, it seemed logical. "Just for monthly expenses," she said. "Hotel, food, utilities. I show you every receipt, every payment. You trust me, yes?" "Of course I trust you." "Good. Trust is most important thing between man and woman. Without trust there is nothing." That weekend, she brought up something that caught me off guard. "Larry, I want to ask you something important." We were having breakfast on the hotel's roof terrace, the morning sun warm on our faces. "What is it?" "My family, they are very traditional, very concerned about me living with foreign man without proper commitment." "What kind of commitment?" "Marriage. They want to know your intentions are serious." Marriage. The word hit me like cold water. We'd been together 4 months. Was it too soon? "I understand if you need time to think," she said quickly. "But in Thai culture, living together like this, it means something. My family, they think I am, how do you say, cheap woman if I live with man who will not marry me. I don't want anyone thinking that about you. I know you don't, you are good man, but maybe we should talk about future, yes? What you want, what I want." "What do you want, Suana?" "I want to be your wife," she said simply. "Real wife, not just girlfriend. I want to take care of you properly, build life together." My heart hammered against my ribs. "And I want to take care of you too. Then maybe we should make it official?" "You mean get married? Here in Thailand?" "We can do small ceremony first, traditional Thai ceremony. For my family, for respect. Later, if you want, we can do legal marriage. But first, traditional way." The idea frightened and excited me in equal measure. 4 months ago I was alone. Now this beautiful, caring woman wanted to be my wife. "When?" I asked. Her face lit up. "Really? You want to?" "Yes. I want to marry you, Suana." She threw her arms around my neck right there on the terrace. "Oh, Larry, you make me so happy. I love you so much." Love. She loved me. When was the last time someone had said those words to me? "I love you too," I said, and meant it. The ceremony was planned for the following month. Suana handled everything. The traditional dress, the Buddhist monk, the location at a temple outside Bangkok. She explained each element of the ritual as we prepared. In Thai wedding, Most important part is water blessing, she said. Family and friends pour holy water over our hands while monk chants. This binds us together spiritually. Will it be legally binding? No. For legal marriage, we need different paperwork. But this is more important than legal marriage. This is heart marriage. Soul marriage. The ceremony was beautiful, mystical, unlike anything I'd experienced. When the monk poured the blessed water over our joined hands, when Suana looked at me with tears in her eyes and whispered, "Now you are my husband forever," I felt transformed. After the ceremony, she started calling me husband constantly. "Good morning, husband. How was your day, husband? My husband is so handsome today." I'd never realized how much I'd missed being someone's husband until I heard that word a dozen times a day. "Suana," I said one evening, "I want to make sure you're taken care of. Financially, I mean. You take care of me already, husband." "No, I mean really taken care of. I want to add you to my pension account as a beneficiary, but also with access to help manage our finances." "Oh, Larry, that is very generous, but I don't need. I want to. We're married now. What's mine is yours." "Are you sure? This is big responsibility." "I'm sure. I trust you completely. You're my wife." She cried when I signed the paperwork at the bank, when I gave her full access to my pension account and savings. "I promise I will be good wife," she said through her tears. "I promise I will take care of you forever." "I know you will," I said, holding her close. "We'll take care of each other." That night, she made my favorite dinner, and we celebrated our new level of commitment. As we sat on our small balcony afterwards, her head on my shoulder, I felt something I hadn't felt in 15 years. Complete contentment. "Thank you for choosing me," she whispered. "Thank you for letting me love you," I whispered back. I had no idea that love could be weaponized, that trust could be the very thing that destroyed you. That night, with my new wife in my arms and all my financial security in her capable hands, I thought I was the luckiest man alive. The changes started small. Little things I told myself not to worry about. Suana's phone, which used to sit casually on the table during meals, began disappearing into her purse. When it rang, she'd excuse herself to answer privately. "Who was that?" I asked one evening after she returned from a 10-minute conversation in the hallway. "My sister. Family business. Very boring. She worried too much about mother." Her explanation made sense. I didn't want to be the jealous husband who questioned every phone call. But the calls became more frequent, always requiring privacy. Then, there were her absences. What used to be occasional visits to family in Chiang Mai became weekend trips twice a month. "My mother is having health problems," she explained, packing her small suitcase. "I need to help take care of her. Should I come with you? Meet your family?" "Oh no, not yet. My mother, she is very traditional. Need time to accept foreign son-in-law. You understand?" I understood, or tried to. But 4 months after our ceremony, I still hadn't met a single member of her family. Hadn't even spoken to them on the phone. The money disappearing faster worried me more. Our monthly expenses had tripled. But when I asked about it, Suana showed me receipts for things I didn't remember buying. "This is expensive restaurant bill," I said, looking at a receipt for 4,000 baht. "When did we eat here?" "Last month, when we celebrate my birthday. You don't remember? We have very nice dinner. You say food is excellent." I didn't remember the restaurant or the birthday dinner, but I'd been forgetting things lately. The heat, the adjustment to living here, maybe it was affecting my memory. "And this one? 8,000 baht for what?" "Medical bills for my mother. I told you she is sick. Doctor very expensive. Why didn't you ask me first?" Her face changed, hurt replacing confusion. "Larry, you give me access to account to take care of our life, our family. My mother is your family now too, yes?" "Of course. But, you don't trust me anymore? You think I steal from my own husband?" "No, of course not. I just want to understand where our money goes." "Our money goes to our life. Food, hotel, medicine for sick mother, gifts for your wife who loves you. You want me to ask permission for everything like child?" "That's not what I mean." "Then what you mean, Larry?" "Because I am very confused. In Thai culture, wife manages money because husband trusts her. If you don't trust me, maybe I should move back to my apartment." The threat of losing her terrified me more than the money problems. "I trust you, Suana. I'm sorry. You're right, I'm being paranoid. I don't want us to fight about money, she said, sitting beside me and taking my hand. Money is just money. Love is what matters. You love me, yes? Yes, of course I love you. Then trust me to take care of us. I promise I will never hurt you. You are my husband. I would die before I betray my husband. Her words soothed my fears, but doubt had planted itself in my mind like a seed. Over the following weeks, I found myself paying more attention to details I'd previously ignored. The expensive clothes that appeared in her closet, things I didn't remember buying her. The gold jewelry she claimed were gifts from grateful hotel guests. The new smartphone that replaced her old one without explanation. My phone broke, she said when I asked. Screen cracked. I need phone for work, for emergencies. You want me to have broken phone? No, of course not. It's just expensive. Everything in Thailand expensive for foreigner. But I am your wife. I deserve nice things, yes? Or you want me to look poor in front of my friends? Her logic always sounded reasonable in the moment. It was only later, lying awake while she slept peacefully beside me, that questions crept back in. But questions felt like betrayal. She'd given up her independence to be with me, moved into my space, committed to our life together. The least I could do was trust her judgment about our finances. One evening, she came home later than usual from a supposed visit to her old coworkers at the hotel. How are they doing? I asked. Who? Your old coworkers. At the hotel. She paused for just a moment too long. Oh yes, they are fine, same problems, different day. Which coworkers did you see? Pensri and Molly. You don't know them. I thought you said Pensri quit last month? Another pause. Did I? Maybe I meant different person. So many girls work there, all names sound same. I wanted to push, to ask more questions, but I was afraid of what I might learn. Afraid that if I looked too closely at the cracks, the whole beautiful structure of our life together might collapse. So I chose blindness. Chose to believe her explanations, her hurt expressions when I questioned her, her promises that everything she did was for us, for our future together. I chose to trust the woman who called me husband, who made me feel wanted again after years of loneliness. Even as part of me started to suspect that trust might be the most dangerous thing I'd ever given anyone. You are quiet tonight, she said, curling up against me in bed. You thinking too much again? Just tired. Don't think so much, husband. Thinking too much makes you old. Just love me, let me love you. That is enough, yes? Yes, I whispered into her hair. That's enough. But it wasn't enough. Not anymore. The seed of doubt was growing, sending roots deeper into my consciousness every day. I just wasn't ready to acknowledge what it might bloom into. The passport request came on a Tuesday morning while we were having breakfast. Suana had been unusually quiet, picking at her food instead of eating. Larry, I need to ask you something important. What is it? Your passport? You keep it in the room, yes? In drawer with other documents? Yes, why? It is not safe there. Hotel rooms, sometimes people steal things. Cleaning staff, other guests. Important documents should be in hotel safe. I thought about that. But the safe is so small. No, not room safe. Front desk safe. Hotel has big safe downstairs, very secure, for long-term guests like us. I can handle that myself. I know you can, but I already speak to manager. I have good relationship with hotel staff, they trust me. Is easier if I manage this kind of thing. Something in her tone made me hesitate. I don't know, Suana. I've always kept my passport with me. Larry, please. I am your wife. I am Thai. I understand system here better than you. You want to carry passport everywhere? Risk losing it? Risk having it stolen? I guess not. Good. Give me passport. I take to front desk today. They give us receipt, very official. Anytime you need it, just ask me. I get it for you same day. I went to the drawer where I kept my important documents. My passport, my retirement papers, my bank information, all the proof of who I was, what I'd earned, what I owned. It felt wrong to hand it over, but Suana was right about safety, and she was my wife. Here, I said, giving her the navy blue booklet. Thank you for trusting me, she said, kissing my cheek. I take good care of everything for us. 2 weeks later, she brought up another financial matter. My family has opportunity, she said during dinner. Very good business opportunity. What kind of opportunity? Land. My uncle. He wants to sell land in Chiang Mai. Very good price, because family gets discount. But must decide quickly. What would we do with land in Chiang Mai? Build house. Small house for us to retire in. Bangkok is expensive, crowded. Chiang Mai is peaceful, beautiful. We could have garden, quiet life. The idea appealed to me. A house of our own, somewhere peaceful to grow old together. How much land? 2 rai. About 8,000 square meters. Very big, near mountain. Uncle wants 500,000 baht, but for family, he takes 400,000. 400,000 baht. About $12,000. It was a significant chunk of my savings, but land was an investment. Something permanent. I need to think about it. Of course, but Larry, opportunity like this doesn't come often. Uncle has other people interested. If we wait too long, how long do we have? 1 week. He gives us 1 week to decide because I am his niece. That week, Suana talked about the land constantly. She showed me pictures on her phone of the beautiful mountain views, described the house we'd build, the life we'd have there. We could have chickens, she said dreamily. Small garden for vegetables, very peaceful, very Thai lifestyle. You would love it. What about the legal aspects? Can foreigners own land in Thailand? Cannot own directly, but I am Thai. I own land. You are my husband, so is same thing. We make special document, legal document that says land is for both of us. Her explanation seemed reasonable, though I made a mental note to research the laws myself. I think we should do it, she said on Thursday night. I feel very good about this opportunity. You really think it's a good investment? Best investment is in our future together. And Larry, land always goes up in value. In 5 years this land could be worth double. That night, lying awake, I tried to imagine our future house. A quiet place where we could be together without the noise and chaos of Bangkok. Where I could read in the garden while she cooked our meals. Where we could grow old together in peace. The next morning, I told her yes. Really? You want to buy the land? I want us to have a home together. A real home. She threw her arms around me, tears streaming down her face. Oh, Larry, you make me so happy. I love you so much. The money transfer took 2 days to process. $15,000 from my savings account to an account Suana said belonged to her uncle. I get all the paperwork, she promised. Title deed, legal documents, everything. We are landowners now, husband. For weeks afterward, she talked excitedly about our future house. She'd researched building costs, found contractors, planned the layout room by room. Her enthusiasm was infectious. I found myself looking forward to retirement in our mountain home, far from the confusion and expense of city living. But the paperwork never came. Uncle is still processing documents, she explained when I asked. Thai government bureaucracy very slow. Maybe 2 more weeks. 2 weeks became a month. A month became 2 months. Suana, I'm getting worried about the land deal. It's been over 2 months, and we still haven't seen any paperwork. Larry, please, you must be patient. This is Thailand, not America. Everything takes longer here. But $15,000. You don't trust me? Her voice turned cold. You think I steal your money? You think I lie to you about my own family? No, I just want to see some documentation. You want documentation? Fine. I call my uncle tomorrow. Tell him foreign husband doesn't trust Thai family. Tell him foreign husband thinks we are liars and thieves. Please don't do that. Then stop asking me about paperwork every day. I am not your employee, Larry. I am your wife. When I say everything is fine, everything is fine. I backed down, afraid of damaging our relationship over money. But doubt gnawed at me constantly now. $15,000 was a lot of money. My pension wasn't huge, and that land purchase had significantly depleted my savings. Yet what choice did I have? She was my wife. If I couldn't trust her, who could I trust? Late at night, while she slept peacefully beside me, I stared at the ceiling and tried not to calculate how much money had flowed out of my account since we'd married. Tried not to wonder why I never saw any documentation for our major expenses. Tried not to question why trusting my wife felt increasingly like the most dangerous thing I'd ever done. That last evening felt perfect. Too perfect, though I didn't recognize the warning signs then. Suana cooked my favorite meal, green curry with chicken, fragrant jasmine rice, and the mango sticky rice dessert I'd grown to love. She'd even bought a bottle of good wine, expensive by our usual standards. "What's the occasion?" I asked as she lit candles on our small table. "Do I need special occasion to cook nice dinner for my husband?" she said, but her smile seemed different somehow. Softer, almost sad. "I guess not. This is beautiful, Suana. Thank you." During dinner, she was more attentive than she'd been in weeks. She asked about my day, laughed at my stories about the other expats I'd met at the coffee shop, listened intently when I talked about a book I was reading. "Larry," she said as we finished the main course, "I want to talk about our future." "What about it?" "I have been thinking about the house we will build in Chiang Mai. I have new ideas." She pulled out her phone and showed me pictures she'd apparently taken during her last trip north. Rolling green hills, a small stream, fruit trees scattered across what looked like our future property. "It is even more beautiful than I remembered," she said. "I can see exactly where we build house. Right here, on small hill, with view of mountains." "When can we start building?" "Soon, I think. Maybe next month. Uncle finishes all paperwork, we can begin. Small house first, just 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Simple but comfortable." "How long do you think it will take?" 6 months maybe. By this time next year, we could be living there." The thought filled me with contentment. A year from now we'd have our own place. No more hotel living, no more noise from the street, no more uncertainty. Just Suana and me in our mountain home. "I can't wait," I said. "Me too, husband. I think about it every day. Wake up in our house, drink coffee on our porch, watch sunrise over mountains. Very peaceful life." After dinner, we sat on the small balcony. The Bangkok traffic hummed below us, but tonight it seemed distant, almost musical. "Larry, can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Do you ever regret coming to Thailand? Leaving your old life?" "Never. Not for a second." "Why do you ask?" "Sometimes I worry that maybe you miss America. Miss familiar things. Miss people who speak your language." "I miss my kids sometimes," I admitted. "But they have their own lives now, and I never felt at home there the way I feel at home with you." She moved closer to me on the small bench, her head finding its familiar place on my shoulder. "You make me very happy, Larry. Happier than I ever thought possible. You saved me," I said quietly. "I was so lost when I came here. So empty. You gave me purpose again, gave me love again, and you gave me security, gave me future, gave me chance to be real wife, not just girlfriend." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, her hand resting on my chest, mine stroking her hair. "Suana?" "Yes, I love you more than I've ever loved anyone. You know that, right?" She lifted her head to look at me, and I could see tears glistening in her eyes. "I know, husband. And I love you too. Very much." That night, she held me closer than usual, her arms wrapped around me tightly, as if she were trying to memorize the feeling of my body next to hers. "Promise me something," she whispered in the darkness. "What?" "Promise me that whatever happens you will remember that I loved you, that this was real for me." "What do you mean whatever happens?" "Nothing's going to happen. I just... Promise me, Larry." "I promise. But Suana, you're scaring me a little. Is everything okay?" "Everything is perfect," she said, squeezing me tighter. "Tonight is perfect." She was right. It was perfect. Lying there with my wife in my arms, planning our future together, feeling loved and needed and wanted, I couldn't imagine being happier. For the first time since my divorce, I felt like I was exactly where I belonged. I fell asleep that night with a smile on my face, Suana's words echoing in my mind. "Tonight is perfect." I agreed completely. I didn't know I was sleeping next to a stranger. Didn't know that the woman I'd given my heart to, my trust to, my financial security to, was planning to disappear before sunrise. Didn't know that perfect moments like this one were designed to make the betrayal hurt worse when it came. I slept peacefully beside my wife, dreaming of our mountain house, our quiet future together, our love that would last forever. It was the last peaceful sleep I'd have for a very long time. I woke up to silence. Not the usual morning sounds of Suana moving around the room, making coffee, humming softly as she got ready for whatever she had planned for our day. Just complete, unnatural silence. I opened my eyes. The bed beside me was cold, empty. No indentation in the pillow where her head should have been. "Suana?" I called out, my voice hoarse from sleep. No answer. I sat up, looking around the room. Her side of the closet stood open, empty hangers swaying slightly in the air conditioning. The dresser where she kept her jewelry and makeup was bare. Even her toothbrush was gone from the bathroom. My stomach dropped like a stone. I stumbled to the dresser where we kept important papers. The drawer where I'd stored backup documents, credit cards, cash for emergencies. Empty. Completely empty. No, 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 I whispered, pulling the drawer completely out, shaking it as if my documents might materialize. Nothing. I ran to the bathroom, checked behind the mirror where I sometimes kept a small emergency fund. Gone. Under the mattress where I'd hidden 5,000 baht. Gone. My hands shaking, I grabbed my phone and called her number. The automated voice told me the number was no longer in service. Panic hit me like physical pain. I threw on clothes and ran downstairs to the front desk, my bare feet slapping against the marble floor. "Excuse me." I gasped to the clerk on duty, a young man I didn't recognize. "My wife, Suana, she worked here before. She put my passport in your safe. I need it back." The clerk looked confused. "Sir? My passport. Suana Kanchana, she used to work here. She put my passport in the hotel safe for security. I need it back now." "One moment, sir." He made a phone call in rapid Thai, speaking quietly. When he hung up, his expression was apologetic. "Sir, I am very sorry, but we have no record of any documents in our safe under your name or Mrs. Kanchana's name. That's impossible. She put it there 2 months ago. She got a receipt. I checked computer, sir, no record. And sir, Mrs. Kanchana, she quit working here 8 months ago. 8 months ago. Before I'd even met her." My legs gave out. I grabbed the marble counter to keep from falling. "Sir, are you okay? You need to sit down." "My bank," I managed to say. "I need to check my bank account." Back in the room, I logged into my online banking with fingers that could barely type. The screen loaded slowly, each second stretching like an hour. Account balance, 47 baht. 47 baht, less than $2. I stared at the screen, certain there was some mistake. I scrolled through the transaction history with growing horror. Transfers I hadn't authorized. Withdrawals from ATMs across Bangkok. All of it happening yesterday, after our perfect dinner, while I slept peacefully beside the woman I trusted with everything. My pension account. I clicked on it with desperate hope. Account closed. Beneficiary payout processed. All funds transferred to Suana Kanchana's personal account. $53,000. My entire life savings. My pension. My security. My future. All of it gone in a single night. I called the bank, my voice breaking as I tried to explain to the customer service representative. "Sir, all transactions were authorized using proper PIN and identification. The beneficiary transfer was requested in person yesterday afternoon with all required documentation. But I didn't authorize anything." The account holder, Mrs. Suana Kanchana, presented all proper identification and paperwork. "You signed authorization forms giving her full access to the account." I had signed those forms months ago when I trusted her completely, when I thought sharing my financial information was what married couples did. "Can you reverse the transfers?" "I am sorry, sir, but once funds are transferred to another bank, we cannot reverse without cooperation from receiving bank and account holder." I hung up and immediately called the American embassy. "My wife stole my passport and emptied my bank accounts," I told the emergency operator. "I'm stranded in Bangkok with no money and no identification. Sir, I understand this is distressing. Can you come to the embassy today with any remaining identification you have? We can help with emergency documentation." "I don't have any other identification. She took everything." "Any hotel receipts? Credit cards? Anything with your name on it?" I looked around the room frantically. She'd been thorough. Even the hotel paperwork with my name on it was gone from the folder where we kept important documents. "Sir, are you still there?" "Yes, I'm here. I don't think I have anything." "Come to the embassy anyway. We'll figure out how to help you." I hung up and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the spot where Suana's pillow should have been. The room felt enormous and empty, like a museum of my own stupidity. How had I missed it? How had I been so blind? The phone calls that were always private. The weekend trips to family I never met. The expensive purchases I couldn't remember making. The land deal with no paperwork. Every red flag I'd ignored because I wanted so desperately to believe I was loved. She'd played me perfectly. Fed my loneliness, my need to feel important to someone, my desire to be a husband again. She'd made me feel rescued while she systematically dismantled my entire life. I thought about last night's dinner, her tears when she told me she loved me, the way she'd held me so tightly. Had any of it been real? Or was she just savoring her victory, saying goodbye to the fool who'd made her rich? Promise me that whatever happens, you will remember that I loved you, that this was real for me. Had she been trying to ease her own guilt? Or was it just one final twist of the knife? I sat there until checkout time, then begged the hotel manager for another night while I figured out what to do. He was sympathetic but firm. Without payment, I had to leave. At 55 years old, I walked out of that hotel with nothing but the clothes on my back and 47 baht in my pocket. No passport, no money, no wife, no future. Just the devastating realization that everything I'd thought was real had been an elaborate lie designed to separate me from everything I owned. The woman who'd called me husband was gone, and she'd taken every piece of my life with her. The American embassy was a maze of security checkpoints, forms, and waiting rooms filled with other desperate expatriates. I sat there for 4 hours clutching a number, watching people with normal problems, lost passports, visa renewals, notarizations, go ahead of me. When they finally called my number, the consular officer was a woman about my daughter's age, professional but kind. Mr. Mitchell, I understand you're reporting theft of your passport and fraud. My wife, my Thai wife, she took everything. My passport, my money, my pension, everything. I see. And when did you discover this? This morning. She disappeared overnight. Do you have any other identification with you? Driver's license? Credit cards? Anything? She took it all. I have nothing. The officer made notes while I told my story. When I finished, she looked up with sympathy and something else. Pity, maybe. Mr. Mitchell, I'm sorry to tell you this isn't uncommon. We see cases like yours regularly. You do. Romance fraud targeting older Western men. It's unfortunately quite sophisticated here. Can you tell me about the financial arrangements you had with your wife? I explained about the joint bank accounts, the pension beneficiary designation, the land purchase. With each detail, the officer's expression grew more grave. The beneficiary transfer will be the most difficult to reverse, she said. Once someone is legally designated as a pension beneficiary and they present proper documentation. But she forged my signature, did she? Or did you sign papers giving her access when you trusted her? I knew the answer. I'd signed everything willingly, happily even, grateful that someone wanted to share my life so completely. We can get you emergency travel documents, she continued. That will take about a week. But I need to ask, do you have funds for accommodation while we process the paperwork? Family who can wire money? No, my kids and I. We're not close. And I don't have any money left. She slid a business card across the desk. This is a charity that helps stranded Americans. They can provide temporary accommodation and meals while you wait for documentation. The address was for a hostel in one of Bangkok's seedier districts, the kind of place I'd have avoided when I had money and options. There's something else, she said gently. The marriage ceremony you described, the Buddhist ceremony, it wasn't legally binding. In Thailand's eyes, you were never actually married to this woman. Never married. Everything I'd believed about our relationship, even the legal foundation of it, had been an illusion. That night, I lay on a thin mattress in a room with 6 other beds, listening to snores and street noise filtering through thin walls. The charity hostel was clean but basic, institutional, the kind of place designed for people who'd lost everything. Which is exactly what I was. The other residents were a mix of backpackers stretching their budgets and men like me, older, broken, telling similar stories over cheap meals of rice and vegetables. Lost it all to a bar girl, said Jim, a 60-year-old Australian. 20,000 in savings gone in 3 months. Mine was a massage parlor owner, added Hans, a German retiree. Convinced me to invest in her business. 40,000 euros, poof. I learned the terminology. Long-term romance fraud. Pension pirates. Relationship investment scams. We were a whole demographic, it turned out. Lonely Western men who'd confused predatory behavior with love. The smart ones, they build relationships for months, explained Tony, a Brit who'd been in Bangkok for 5 years. Make you feel special, make you feel loved. By the time they strike, you're so emotionally invested you ignore every warning sign. How long were you with yours? I asked. 2 years. Lived together, met her family, the whole thing. Thought we were building a future together. Then one day, nothing. Phone disconnected, apartment empty, 50,000 pounds gone. Did you report it to the police? Tony laughed bitterly. Course I did. They took a statement, nodded sympathetically, told me these things happen. Never heard back from them. During the day, I walked the streets of Bangkok like a ghost. Everything reminded me of Suana, the restaurant where we'd had our first dinner, the market where she'd taught me to bargain, the temple where we'd had our fake wedding ceremony. I found myself standing outside the hotel where we'd lived together, looking up at the window of what used to be our room. A maid was cleaning it, preparing it for the next guest, as if we'd never existed at all. The worst moments came late at night, when exhaustion finally allowed sleep. I'd wake up reaching for her, expecting to find her warm body beside me. The absence felt like physical pain. But worse than missing her was the humiliation, the crushing realization of how thoroughly I'd been played. Every sweet word, every tender moment, every time she'd called me husband, all of it calculated, all of it designed to make me hand over my life savings. I'd thought I was experienced enough, smart enough, to avoid something like this. I'd thought my loneliness was manageable, under control. Instead, it had made me the perfect victim. 1 week became 2 as paperwork was processed. 2 weeks became 3 as I waited for emergency funds from Social Security. Each day blurred into the next, punctuated only by meals at the charity kitchen and conversations with other broken men who'd made the same mistakes I had. The hardest part, said Jim one evening as we sat outside the hostel, is accepting that it was never real. That feeling of being loved, being wanted, it was all performance. How do you know? I asked. Maybe some of it was real. Mate, if any of it had been real, she wouldn't have been able to do what she did. Real love doesn't plan your destruction. I knew he was right. But letting go of the belief that Suana had felt something genuine for me meant accepting that I'd been completely alone, even when I thought I was most loved. Late at night, staring at the ceiling in that charity hostel, I forced myself to relive every moment of our relationship with clear eyes. The way she'd steered conversations toward my loneliness. How she'd positioned herself as the solution to all my problems. The careful way she'd escalated her requests, testing my boundaries before crossing them. She'd been brilliant, really. Patient and methodical and completely ruthless. And I'd been the perfect mark, isolated, financially comfortable, and desperately hungry for connection. At 55 years old, I'd learned that love could be weaponized. That trust could be the most dangerous gift you could give someone. That loneliness could make you so grateful for attention, you'd mistake manipulation for affection. I'd learned these lessons too late, at the cost of everything I'd worked for my entire life. 3 weeks later, I finally had emergency travel documents and enough charity funds for a plane ticket home. But home to what? My old apartment had been rented to someone else. My few remaining possessions were in storage. I had no job, no savings, and no realistic way to rebuild at my age. The flight back to Ohio was the longest 12 hours of my life. I sat in that cramped economy seat, surrounded by families and business travelers with normal lives and normal problems, feeling like I was returning from war. My kids picked me up at the airport. The conversation was awkward, stilted. They'd heard some version of what happened but didn't know how to talk about it. Dad, we tried to warn you, Sarah said as we drove through the familiar streets of Cleveland. When you called about getting married so quickly, I know, we were worried you were being taken advantage of. You were right. Michael, my son, caught my eye in the rearview mirror. What are you going to do now? I don't know. And I didn't. At 55, with no savings and only Social Security to live on, my options were limited. My kids offered help, but they had their own families, their own expenses. I couldn't become their burden, too. I rented a small studio apartment in a part of Cleveland I'd never lived in before. 1 room, a kitchenette, a bathroom barely big enough to turn around in. It was clean and safe, but after our hotel suite in Bangkok, after dreaming of our house in the mountains, it felt like a prison cell. The Social Security Administration was sympathetic but clear. The pension transfer had been legal. Suana had proper documentation, proper authorization. The fact that she'd obtained that authorization through fraud didn't matter to them. You signed the beneficiary designation forms willingly, the caseworker explained. She didn't forge your signature or steal your identity in the legal sense. She just Convinced you to give her access. So there's no way to get it back? Not through us. You could try pursuing legal action, but international fraud cases are extremely difficult and expensive to prosecute. I hired a lawyer with money borrowed from Michael. After 2 hours reviewing my case, he was blunt. Mr. Mitchell, I'm sorry, but there's virtually no chance of recovery. The woman is in Thailand, probably using a different identity by now. Even if we could locate her, proving fraud when you signed authorization papers willingly would be nearly impossible. So she just gets away with it? Unfortunately, yes. This kind of romance fraud relies on the victim's cooperation. Legally, you gave her permission to access your accounts. 6 months after returning from Thailand, I was working part-time at a hardware store, trying to stretch my social security payments to cover rent and groceries. The manager, a kind man named Pete, knew my story and had given me the job despite my age. You're not the first guy this has happened to, he told me during my lunch break one day. My brother-in-law lost his retirement to a woman he met online. Filipino lady, promised to marry him, took him for $60,000. Does it get easier? The money part? That's just practical problems. You adapt, you adjust. The trust part? That takes longer. He was right. The financial devastation was manageable, eventually. I learned to live on less, to appreciate small comforts I'd taken for granted, but the psychological damage ran deeper. I couldn't watch romantic movies without feeling nauseated. I avoided restaurants where couples dined together. When well-meaning friends suggested I get back out there and start dating again, I physically recoiled from the idea. How do you trust anyone after learning that love can be perfectly faked? How do you believe in affection when you've experienced how convincingly it can be manufactured? Late at night in my small apartment, I replayed our relationship obsessively, looking for signs I'd missed, moments when her mask had slipped, evidence that I should have seen what was coming. But the truth was more painful than that. There had been signs. The private phone calls, the unexplained expenses, the resistance to meeting her family, the lack of paperwork for major financial commitments. I'd seen them all. I'd just chosen blindness over solitude. That's the part I can never forgive myself for. Not the stupidity or the naivety, but the willful ignorance. I'd been so desperate to believe I was loved again that I'd ignored every instinct, every warning, every rational thought that tried to protect me. Suana hadn't just stolen my money. She'd shown me the depths of my own loneliness, the lengths I was willing to go to avoid being alone. She'd revealed me to myself in the most unflattering possible light. A year later, I still think about her daily. Not with love. That died the morning I woke up to emptiness, but with a kind of horrified fascination. How long had she been planning it? Had she targeted me specifically, or was I just convenient? Did she feel any guilt at all when she emptied my accounts while I slept trustingly beside her? Sometimes I imagine running into her on some impossible street corner. I rehearse what I'd say, how I'd confront her. But I know the truth. If I saw her again, I'd probably just feel sad. Sad for both of us. For the love that could have been real but wasn't. For the life we could have built if she'd been who I thought she was. I'm 60 now. Living alone in my small apartment, working part-time, rebuilding my life piece by piece. I'll never retire comfortably. I'll never own a house again. I'll never trust anyone with my financial security again. But I'm still here. Still breathing, still working, still trying to find meaning in smaller things. The friendship of coworkers, the satisfaction of a job well done, the simple pleasure of a good meal eaten in solitude. I've learned that loneliness and solitude aren't the same thing. Loneliness is what made me vulnerable to Suana's manipulation. Solitude is what I've chosen to protect myself from it happening again. She called me her husband. I believed her. I gave her everything I had to give, and she took it all and disappeared like smoke. But I survived it. Broken, diminished, but still here. That has to count for something. The woman who called me husband taught me the most expensive lesson of my life. That love without trust is just performance, and trust without wisdom is just suicide. I paid my entire life savings to learn that lesson. I'll never forget it again.